Yeah, they reached out to me. I can't remember if it was Karen or Lucy, but they reached out to me through email, talking about what they wanted to do and pulling together prints and work that people were using kind of in protest and like addressing their current situation, and yeah, asked me would I want to be involved, like co-curating it, helping to pull things together. And so yeah, they put a call out, and I promoted as I could through kind of social media. I think, you know, their call is a little larger than mine probably, but I wanted to pull in some letterpress printers that I knew that would have been making work along this vein and might want to contribute stuff. So yeah, it was a collaborative effort. Everything. I think they initially wanted it to be work that people actually use in actual protests. So you can see some real protest signs, you can see the wear and tear on some things. But I know a lot of letterpress printers were making work and just making a stack of posters and leaving it outside their print shop and like, just grab this and take it. So I'm not sure if those were actually used or just had leftovers, but that same poster from that same edition, same run, was definitely out in the streets and people were using them, and yeah, it's pretty cool.
I think one thing that hit me too is there's I think probably the biggest presence in terms of a person in the gallery is John Lewis. There's a lot of John Lewis in the gallery.
Yeah.
Was that something you made that choice on purpose? Was it just the moment that he was just kind of out there?
I think it was the moment, like his death at this time, all the work he's done leading up to this as a example for people. I think it was like people wanted to highlight his life, and just that good trouble phrase is so perfect for right now, like people getting involved in things in ways that it never had before, and figuring out how you can get your own version of good trouble, whether it's writing letters, writing postcards, walking outside with a sign. I think people were figuring out ways to get in good trouble any way they could. Yeah, I think printmaking is kind of uniquely qualified to be a medium right now. Yeah, it's a very democratic multiple. I mean, you can make lots of copies pretty cheaply. The cost is basically paper and your labor. And a lot of printmakers kind of took up the call and decided to do that. I have a printer friend in the Washington area who invited young activists into her studio and said, if you have something you want to print, if it's 2 or 3 lines, you can come in and print it. So there are people giving access. So we have this equipment that allows us to put words on paper, get it out there, and so using that as a kind of a conduit for our messages or other people's messages, I think it's an important use of the medium. Yeah. I think, yeah, especially right now, everything is very digital, and so people are talking and sharing things on Facebook and stuff, but if you're going to go out there, if there's something you want to hold on to, if you want to put a sign in your window, you're going to use print to do that. I feel like as we got more and more submissions in, the idea expanded a little bit, because I was thinking it was just going to be things that were used in protest. I feel like ideally that would be an interesting show, but as people sent more and more things in, you see they still connected or made sense for the show, but they might not have been used in protest, and then someone capturing that moment, putting all of these posters into a context, I thought was an interesting idea. And so yeah, all these other things that kind of fit that really huge painted sign is, you know, visually it's awesome, but it's, you know, it's not a multiple, it's a one-off, but it really fits too. I feel like just gives a lot more energy, all the different kind of pieces relating to each other, all on a larger theme. And it's all still really very current, very right now, very energetic. Yeah, I like the idea of like, the idea of using memes in print. Like, are you doing that to get people's attention? Or do you want to say something unique, a unique way to spin on something that people have been saying a lot of times? So I love the different tactics, because it's a poster. A poster is like a mini billboard trying to get people's attention, want people to see what you want to say. And so it's like the thought and the design behind people's signs is really cool too. Like, there's a lot more behind it besides just writing down the first thing that comes to mind.
For sure.
Yeah, that's mostly my work and my wife's work. And so all that work wasn't directly for right now, but my work is all in that same kind of vein. And so we kind of grouped together because they kind of lived together, and we thought it was a good kind of opposition to the stuff that was made immediately.
For sure.
But again, it's like the whole energy of the show. It's not one note. It's not like, oh, these are all protest posters. Like, you might sit in front of those because there's series there and they kind of go together in a different way. And so and kind of talks to larger issues. They're not immediately protesting, but it's all talking about race and identity and exclusion. And so, again, that's just more layers for the show, I think.
Yeah.
It has that, even when it wasn't made that moment, there's something immediate about this piece of thing that's really stark, black and white often, kind of right in your face. Yeah, and the ephemeral quality about it too. Like, you could have this and you could use it and you could bring it home and put it down somewhere and it could kind of go away, and then you might come upon it again like, wow, remember this? I mean, there's power to it. I think about just like everyone, even the digital age, everyone learned to read with a book, you know, ink on paper. And so I feel like there's that history in print that humans really relate to. One thing I thought was really great was the work that we put up at the very entrance of the show. So
Sure.
there's the painting, More Paz.
Yeah, More Paz.
The Black Lives Matter sign in Spanish, and then there's the WAP embroidery. So like 3 very different mediums, like working in very different ways. I thought was really cool. Like it's a great way to kind of open it when you walk in the door. The painting is really huge, really colorful. Again, it's a painting, so there's one of them. The Black Lives Matter sign, we were doing these. A movement to put Black Lives Matter sign all around kind of Evanston, and so we've sold, I don't know, thousands of signs, and so that's a multiple in the most kind of commercial way. You know, it's not even hand printed; it's printed by a machine on like really cheap material, meant for people to display, you know, outside during the weather. And then this embroidery, which is you're sitting on your lap like hand done. I mean, just the 3 approaches to this larger thought or larger idea. I thought it was really cool to have them together on the wall. Yeah, like the shirt, it started out as the shirt, the Black Lives Matter, but I did that like maybe 4 years ago or something.
Sure.
I just made a few of them when Black Lives Matter was a thing, and people were saying all lives matter, and kind of like trying to talk about that. And, you know, I was trying to sell a few of them, but didn't do much. Like, they kind of sat around for years and years and years until this year, where Black Lives Matter became not a controversial phrase in the same way. And so the idea that 4 years after I made them, these things are like, yes, this is right now. I'm so glad you made that. I was like, well, they're really old, but they feel, you know what I mean? They feel really right now. And the white supremacy stuff too is just kind of like talking about white supremacy in all these different ways. So I can't remember how many in the gallery, but there's 18 different messages total in the work. And so that's kind of the backdrop of all this, talking about how people are treated, how this society is set up, and so that's kind of a background in this whole idea, like what are we protesting against? You know, what kind of rights are we trying to get for whom? And so, yeah, I thought, just pulling from a lot of different sources, broadening this idea, I thought it came together really well.
Yeah.
And the way the show is hung, it's like everything isn't framed. These are not like gorgeous works of art that are selling for hundreds of dollars that someone's setting. You know, these are like, not that people didn't give them thought, but they're, you know, people sat down and did them. It's fairly immediate, and like it's hung to be that way, that it's kind of ephemeral. And yeah, I just love the kind of the energy of the show.